Hello everyone, we are live and it is the day number 15th of April. We are on Tuesday and this is the special month, NaPodPoMo, National Podcast Post Month. And I'm going to wrap up. So this is a multiple usages session. And although today is also Oli presents Henry Cameron, and who is Henry Cameron? You will discover it soon. Just cross my fingers that he can join us because I don't know if he's going to join us. If not, I will convey his message anyway because I'm going to run this session anyway with or without him. I'm just going to sound check if I am well live on YouTube. Yes, audible. That's great. And why do I put my headphones if I don't have my Bluetooth? Well, it's okay. I'm going to go with the flow. Um, so I am audible in YouTube. That's amazing. And I am also audible on LinkedIn. Let me check. So, my friend, first, how are you feeling today? I was resting and I was contacting Hermie because Hermie is not having any news. I was supposed to join with him today with you right now. But is there any news from LinkedIn? Strangely, LinkedIn doesn't work. I don't know. But it is what it is, and I'm going to do it anyway. Uh, and if there is no LinkedIn, then there will be, I don't know, why LinkedIn is not working. Yeah, I refreshed the page. So, I don't know. But it is live, my friends. Live, live, live. Okay. Okay, in the forest. Okay. So, Henry Cameron is in the forest. We will manage to make it happen. LinkedIn is not working, but there is on YouTube, and I will convey the message no matter what later on LinkedIn. Bear with me. I am going to the forest, but okay, he is on the forest. Um, but I'm going to check if I can do it with my tablet because it's with technology, So it is on the forest. Well, or rooms. Where is the forest, by the way? So bear with me because I am live and I have to manage multiple things. Okay, he gave me the link to the forest. That's great. So Oli and technology will arrive at its end. Link to the forest. I will explain to you later, by the way. So, I am right now on the link to the forest. So, Mr. Hermie, I am with my laptop and my tablet with Go Brunch in the forest, and I'm sound checking with my system. So, Hermie, how are you feeling? Feel free to speak right now. Or,
I'm
yeah,
I'm doing well.
cool.
Thank. So I didn't get my LinkedIn. I didn't have my LinkedIn tab up, so I just got your message, and I was in the Café du Bien hanging out because that was the link I had.
Oh, okay. Okay, okay. Miscommunication happens sometimes, so I'm really
It's
happy
okay.
that you are there. I'm very, very happy that you are there.
Thank you. I'm happy that you are here.
Thank you. And let me just check because then I will be at peace and flowing with the conversation. Just because LinkedIn has failed once again, but I will post the link on LinkedIn afterwards. But we are live on YouTube right now.
Ah,
Yeah, no, yes. Sorry, technology is a
no,
bit
yes.
like
Oh, yes. Hey, it'll happen the way it happens.
y-
Is there something that I can share with people if I want?
yes. You can share. You, in fact, share to the audience who you are, what is your story. This session is like normally 15, 25 minutes, so it will be short and sweet. But share in a nutshell who you are and what led you to do what you are doing right now.
Okay. Well, I am Henry Cameron Allen. In Go Brunch, I'm known as Dr. Hermie, and I live in Spain. I am a lot of things. I'm a theater artist. I am an award winning author of the Lost Traveler's Field Guide. And I'm the founding director of the new Folklore Theater Company, which is an international theater company that is virtual. Our huge theater complex is here in Go Brunch, and this forest is part of it. This is where we meet every week, every Sunday for our Folk Heart meeting, and that's open to the public. Anybody can come. Um, what am I doing? Well, tomorrow is the 30th Cameron's Feast. This is my son Cameron, who sadly passed away from brain cancer 18 years ago. He would be turning 30 tomorrow. And so, to honor him and his love of theater and the arts, we are doing a fundraiser in his name for Cameron's Feast, we call it. And we are a nonprofit organization under the sponsorship of an organization in New York called Fractured Atlas. And they are a wonderful fiscal sponsor for individual artists and small arts organizations. And they have a campaign running this week for their members. And the goal is to raise as many individual donations of any amount. It could be $1 or €1. Um, and if we have enough donations, individual donations, then we are in the running for $1,000 grant. And for a small theater company like ours, that means that we can produce new work. We do have fundraising campaigns throughout the year. We have special events, and we ask suggested donations. We also have what we call our folklore luminaries, who become members of the company for an amount a month. We have 5 tiers of giving. But this week, from yesterday through the 18th, um, the more individual donations we can get, the more we will have a chance at $1,000 grant. So that's what we're doing right now. We're focusing on this week in honor of Cameron, and yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah, so in your life you had a theater. Let us know more about your passion about the theater. You were in US and now you are in Spain.
Yes. Well, I have been a theater artist for my entire adult life. I studied theater for many years. My master's I earned at the National Theater Conservatory in the United States, and I segued from acting to directing because I felt like as an actor, we are, it's wonderful work. It's very, very important. It's valuable work. It's been around since humanity, since the first people sat around a fire just like this and told stories, wondering about the trees and what makes them grow, and flowers and animals and the world that we live in. So This is a primordial aspect of our humanity. Um, Hearing music, is that you?
Yeah, it's me because I'm sharing at the same time, so feel free to continue. Sorry for the noise.
Oh, that's okay. Um, so where was I? Yeah, so we are interested in keeping that fire stoked of human storytelling. It's an aspect of our humanity that is universal from the beginning. And so after Cameron passed, and I noticed that there was no folkloric theater happening. Nobody was really preserving or protecting the stories that were dying with the people that carried them. And that is a global phenomenon. We're not teaching local history, ancestral history, and at the home, in schools, anywhere really. And except Disney occasionally will do an interpretation of an old folk story or fairy tale. But how do we know who we are if we don't know where we come from? And so that's really the spirit out of which we work. And the the plan after I had the Folklore Theater Company in Gloucester, Massachusetts for about 10 years, used over 40 original plays and musicals, all based on local stories. And then, Oli, I got a call from the United Nations. I thought I was being punked. I was like, come on, George, is this you? I did not think that it was real, but it was. They had heard of the work that I was doing in rescuing these ancestral stories, and they wanted to send me to Fiji,
Oh,
the country of Fiji, to develop a workshop in creative activism using folkloric theater as a vehicle toward positive change for youth in Fiji. This was in 2014. And I thought, what an honor, what can I do? I know nothing about Fijian history or culture. So I did my quick study. And that was an extraordinary experience for me personally. But it was also a groundbreaking workshop. It was called Stories to Tell. And when I came back from that experience, I felt like my wings had grown artistically, that it wasn't enough to just do local history, to preserve and rescue stories locally. I needed to set my sights globally. And so I had an opportunity out of the blue, again, another phone call from somebody I'd never heard of, inviting me to develop an international touring company. And he said, what would it take for you to hang your theater up on a peg and come with us on this adventure? And just like the great mythological stories, and like any adventure story, I made a choice. And I thought, you know what? I'm up for an adventure. And this was in 2017. And I ended up going to the UK, and we were planning on developing, our home base there, our touring company. And I had some downtime because we were waiting for funds to get my residency squared away in the UK. And so I decided to travel around Europe a bit. I visited Belgium.
mm.
I went to Blankenberg.
Oh,
And it was lovely. I loved it. Bruges was amazing. And I went to the south of France and Switzerland. And I really, I was finding my own roots because my foundational history is European and Scandinavian. So my mother's sister lives here in Spain. And so I was in the south of France, not far from the border. I thought, oh, I'll go visit my aunt, right? So I called her and said, hey, would you like a guest for a few days? And I came down here. And what I found was a community that was just sort of hidden away from the world. It's about 45 minutes from the closest urban center. There's no pollution here. It's rural, beautiful, beautiful wildflowers, mountains. Um, and I felt, and the property values here are very inexpensive. In fact, I'm renting a 4-bedroom house for 200 US dollars or 200 euros a month. I mean,
Oh,
it's crazy.
wow.
I can't live like anywhere. I know. So, so I contacted my colleagues and I said, listen, instead of the UK, where property is very expensive, as it is in the US, why don't we think about establishing our home base in Spain? In this region of Spain, Extremadura, which borders Portugal, there's not a lot of tourism here because everybody wants to go to Barcelona or the coasts, you know, Malaga or even Seville. Um, and so they said, well, go talk to an attorney to find out what it would take for you to get your residency in Spain. It sounds good to us. You know, the big ticket item when you have a touring company is housing for your artists and for your staff. Plus you need, you know, work studios to build sets, you need rehearsal halls, things like that. And so, you know, to be able to rent or purchase a property for that purpose would be very expensive in the UK or the US, and very inexpensive here. So the attorney convinced me to go for what they call arraigo social, which is a kind of residency here in Spain, that if you can sort of stay close to home, not go out too much, except in groups, don't get into any illegal activity. If you can live sort of hidden away, undocumented for 3 years, they grant you this social route residency because you have become part of the fabric of a community, right? So you participate in festivals and civic functions and groups, and people invite you to dinner, you invite them, you know, you become part of the community. And so that's what I did for 3 years, Oli, and I got my residency, and I feel at home here. I feel like I'm part of the community. I'm fluent in Spanish and in Portuguese.
Oh,
So
muy bien, muy bien. Can you try some Spanish for us?
sí, claro, puedo hablar español para contigo y ven para acá porque nuestro pueblo es un... me encanta el campo, la gente aquí, las fiestas, la vida aquí es buenísima.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing.
So COVID came the second month that I was here,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just here for a short visit, right? So I was stuck. I couldn't leave. And of course, nobody for a long time was touring theater. And so it kind of, COVID killed our project. And I ended up here and I was thinking, what am I going to do now? You know, here I'm in the middle of Spain. I have no way to get out really, but I know I want to stay here. And I thought, why not audio theater? That's something you don't hear a lot anymore, especially, you know, for children. Kids who were stuck at home during COVID couldn't go to school. They couldn't be around their friends. They were feeling very anxious and isolated. And so to be able to click them out of that into another reality through audio theater, which is participatory, right? The listener has to imagine the worlds that you're presenting. So it's an interactive art form, right? Nobody is telling you, you can't tell by the actor's voice what the princess looks like or the king or the monster, right? You have to imagine it. And in the arts these days, especially, we're talking a lot about representation. People of color, people who are disabled, live with disabilities, people who are marginalized in one way or another, people who are big, people who are small. You know, we don't see ourselves represented very well in mainstream media. But through audio theater, you get to cast yourself in the role, right? No matter what you look like. And so, or no matter what your abilities. And so it opens you up and it works the imagination muscle in a very unique way. It's immersive, it's dynamic, it's almost cinematic. We have the actors speaking their lines. And of course, our actors are all over the world, from Zimbabwe to Pakistan to Italy, Germany, UK, US. Um, and we all come together, and each actor, after we rehearse the play here in Go Brunch, each actor records their own part in a separate digital recorder. We send all those lines of dialogue to the engineer, the audio engineer who's in the UK. He stitches everything together and equalizes them so it makes it sound like everyone's in the same room, and stitches them together in a way that the conversation flows like dialogue, even though they're only saying their own lines and they're not in the room actually dialoguing. They're dialoguing with the director, right? So he cuts everything together. We hire musicians as well, composers, to create original music for our pieces. Um, we have a Foley artist who creates sound effects and atmosphere. And so it's very layered, and it's a lot of what we call scalpel work. Very, very tight, precise, specific editing to produce something that is immersive. We're very conscious of the pacing, so it's not too fast, not too slow, not too overly dramatic, and not too quiet either. There are moments, obviously, where there's drama, right? And so you have to bring that across in a way that the audience can receive it. But it's fascinating work, and we have started a series for young audiences called The Lore, Lore, and we have 4 stories currently produced in the can, as we say, and those are available to download from our Patreon page. We also, here in Go Brunch, we have a quarterly listening party where we get together and listen to the stories with an audience. And then we have an intelligent talk back afterwards. So it's exciting work.
Yeah, so for introducing some languages and cultures, it's so amazing. And by the way, in French, the word for theater is théâtre. And I'm just sharing the text because théâtre is the sound, but then there is the writing that is really to acknowledge. So I'm just going to spell it, and I showed it on the visual also. So it's THEATRE, and
That's right.
yeah, and the A is like for the sound instead of and then there is a caret on top of the A, which I was thinking in English is circumflex. And initially I was thinking that the circumflex was replacing the S. So I'm really, because I'm a native French teacher and
Uh-huh.
speaker. I don't know French by heart. I'm not a number literary dictionary. So I discovered new things, by the way. So we are all discovering new things, even in English. Yeah, you know, by instance, the word vavavoom.
Mm-hmm.
So vavavoom is when you are so passionate about something, like woo, you are like, I am vavavooming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm discovering each day because we are having all different knowledge, whether it's about language, culture, theater,
Yes.
acting,
Yes.
and so what led you to the passion about theater? Can you retrace back in history in your adolescenthood or childhood?
I can tell you the precise moment.
Oh.
I want to talk about the spelling of the word theater. You know, you see it in English, you see it in 2 ways.
Mm-hmm.
Theatre, which is how we spell it at the New Folklore Theater, theater company. But then you also have Theater,
Mm-hmm.
right? What's the difference between theater and theater? They're pronounced the same, but the spelling is different. The way I interpret it is that a theater with an ER instead of RE, a theater is the building, it's the structure, it's the house
Mm-hmm.
of, yeah. Theater with an RE is the art itself. So that's where I see the difference between the two. There are some people who use them interchangeably, but I don't. Theatrical experience that I remember was in Vienna, Austria in 1971, 1972. And it was the Nutcracker Ballet, Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker, at the Vienna Opera House. And I walked in, I remember it. I remember the smell. I remember the lights and the gilded decorations and the giant mirrors in the lobby and the red carpet going up these grand staircases.
Oh.
And I remember being transported by what I saw on the stage. And I must have been, let's see, 6 or 7 years old.
Mhm.
And it changed my world. It changed my view. After Austria, my family moved to Moscow in the USSR. And my father was a diplomat. He was an American cultural attaché. So I was surrounded by the arts all the time. So, that's my passion for cinema and theater and all the arts. And so I remember going to the Moscow Puppet Theater, the Children's Puppet Theater, which was magnificent, and also in one of these gilded old, theaters. And it was just solidifying for me this passion that was born with the Nutcracker. And so I've always known that I was going to be somehow involved with the theater. I didn't care if I swept the stage, handed out programs, showed people to their seats, took the tickets. I didn't care if I was on stage or off stage. I knew I had to be part of this magic. And so that's what manifested in my life. When I was a teenager, I did 9 plays when I was in high school. These were the school plays. I went on to study in my undergrad with a theater major focus as an actor. And then I went to the National Theater Conservatory for my master's. And what I started to say earlier about being an actor is that for me, it's an amazing and important art form. I didn't feel like I could really speak my voice as an actor unless I was producing, directing, and writing myself a one-man show. I had to sort of fit into the roles that I was playing, directed by somebody else, produced by somebody else, written by somebody else. And I felt as I got older that I had things I wanted to say artistically. And that's when I started directing. And that was my artistic home. That's really where I found my stride as an artist, is as a director and also as a writer. And so that's where my passion led me. And in 2011, I started the Folklore Theater Company in Gloucester, Massachusetts. And it was a hit. It was a hit from this day one. We did not have a single show that did not sell out. Standing ovations, standing room only, and it was magical. And now I'm doing that virtually. It's a bit of a reboot. We're starting over with a new way of bringing these stories forward, and so that's why we are hoping to raise the funds to do it. We keep these productions rather short, about 30 minutes in length, because we don't want children sitting there with earbuds or earphones on for hours on end. We want them to go outside and play at the characters that they've just heard about, right? And so we keep them short, but still, because we hire actors, technicians, musicians, writers, directors, and so forth, it costs about $2,700 US to produce one audio theater play. And I promised my company, because their time and their talent has value, that we would not produce a new play until we raised the money on the front end, not afterwards, right? To scramble and try and get everybody paid. We want to make sure that we build trust within our company, that they're being watched out for, they're being taken care of as artists. We need to support artists now as much as ever. Every time you go to Netflix, every time you go to YouTube, every time you go to a theater or a movie, you are seeing the result of years of training, years of development and work and writing and drafts being written and other people influencing. I mean, it takes a lot to produce something that we take for granted in our time. And so I want to make sure that we are, as a species, holding and elevating artists in ways that used to happen. We used to have patrons of the arts that made sure that actors and other creatives had food on the table and a shelter. I just heard about a Syrian refugee who's living here in Spain now, who is homeless. And he's a filmmaker. He's an amazing filmmaker, well known in Syria, but he had to leave his homeland. And to not have a global community for artists right now, especially in countries that are struggling with war, economics, persecution, things like that, I think is a real travesty in our time when we are so connected internationally. It's one of the things I love about Go Brunch, is that we connect internationally here. And so I want to make sure that that doesn't happen. And so to be building this folklore theater company as an international movement to support artists and help create a livelihood so they don't have to sleep at the airport on a chair in the airport. That's what he did just a few days ago, and the police kicked him out. He had nowhere else to go and no income, right? So we need to take care of our fellow artists. And I hope the new folklore theater company is one way to do that.
Thank you so much for the values that you are pouring out of yourself for your past and history. And I would say we can speak for hours and hours. I think I'm going
I
to.
know, true. We do often.
Yeah, I think I can extend it for 5 or 10 minutes if you agree. But
Oh, sure.
I think it's really, in nowadays, it's really something that I was thinking about. Audio theater is not less than physical theater. Probably
That's true.
people will think that we are performing in our pajamas, but performance in audio is same as performance face to face. Of course, there is the less stress of people looking at us, but the voice, the performance, the audio is really energetically conveyed, even in audio, as much as face to face. So
It's
theater,
true.
yeah. And for me, I have some memories about my childhood. I'm not going to scrap it long, but the 12 Angry Men. I don't know in
Yeah,
English. Yeah, where
that was the first play I ever acted in. Holy.
and I think that's the first theater session I ever attended. And for me,
Wow.
it's about critical thinking, or even remembered, probably not attended, but remembered, because
Yeah.
but and then I remember also, in fact, it was also a theater piece where the actors were performing out of the stage, and that was incredible. I remember it was a theater where there was people on stage, but then there were people out of the stage that were coming, and to realize that they were the real actors. I don't know how
Hmm.
to say it, but it's like you see a scene on the stage, and also other actors performing out of the stage, on the stairs where the people
Yeah.
are sitting. And then of course the famous movie Dead Poet Society from with Robin Williams. Oh, Captain,
Rest in
my Captain. And I I've been blessed. That's why I'm doing my language coaching in French also, because I had a French teacher that was passionate about critical thinking,
Yeah,
about
yeah,
the power of appreciation, and showing us his own movie he was doing himself in the premise of the school, with the sound of Pink Floyd, The Wall, the famous
yeah, yeah,
sound,
yeah.
and showing us Metropolis, letting us read Brave New World and tough books,
Mm.
you know. So I think that's why I'm supporting you as much as I can, because it's all about transcending humanity and using theater is one of the art. There is also cinema, there is also music,
Yep.
painting. So I have some last questions for you, but I would like to hear your thoughts about the emergence of AI. What AI could bring to the theater and the artistry?
That's a tough question because, oh, it just started raining.
Oh,
I don't know if you can hear on the roof.
yeah.
um, that's a tough question because I think that there's a lot of fear around AI. And especially in my field of audio theater, now voice replication AI is replacing actors who are actually, hireable to do these jobs.
Mm,
On my podcast, I'm also a podcaster. I interviewed a gentleman from India who was on the front end of AI development, and I asked him, a lot of people are very fearful of AI, that it's going to take over jobs, that it's going to take over humanity, that it's going to kill us all, that it's going to just, take over all the systems and take control. And I said, how much of that fear is grounded in truth? Like, what do we have to be concerned about? And he said that, if there's a fear that AI will take over jobs that humans have historically done, he said that's true. It will. And we have to be prepared for that. Um, all the things that we have worked centuries, millennia to develop, sciences, medicine, literature, all of these things, it takes AI 2 seconds to do. And so he said that's real. However, what it will also afford us, if we use it properly, and that's a very important caveat, if we use it properly as a tool, not in place of, but as a tool, then it's going to open humanity up to more creativity, more opportunities to be creative, which is our natural inherent state as human beings, right? Who was a Picasso who said that every child is an artist? It's when we become adults that we lose it.
mm-hmm.
Well, I think to get back to that inherent creative aspect to our humanity, I think is important in our time. I feel that shift starting to happen. I have found that AI as a tool, because I do use it as a tool, has enhanced my creativity. Um, the other thing we talked about in that podcast episode was that AI requires human beings in order to exist, in order to function. If something goes wrong with it, the people who are programming it, the developers, whoever, all they have to do is pull the plug, right? Are there going to be people who are using it for negative purposes? Yes, absolutely. But those protections need to be continually developed and put in place, because, right, even that is fostering creative ways to work around it, right? Even if you're going to use it in a bad fashion. So I'm all for people becoming more creative. When I moved back to America, when I was about, I don't know, 15, 16, I heard people use an expression that I had never heard anywhere else in the world. I don't know if you've ever heard this, or if there's in Belgium, a similar phrase, but people would say, I don't have a creative bone in my body.
Oh,
They would say that. And I was always thinking, what? Every bone in your body is creative.
yeah,
In fact, it creates itself every 7 years or whatever, right?
yeah.
So, Where did that come from? Why did that go viral? I don't have a creative bone in my body. Yes, you do. You're inherently creative. It's just you've been programmed to not be, right? And I think a lot of that comes from education. The educational systems that we use around the world today were developed during the Industrial Revolution to get children out of nature, disconnected from their natural creative spirit, and put them into factories as workers, as drones. Now, because everything is mechanized and roboticized, it's not as much factories as it is corporations. We still see floors of buildings full of cubicles of people, humans, who are working side by side with people they know nothing about.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so how do you build trust in a work environment, whether it's an artistic work, whether it's a corporate work? So I really have to say that even my theater work as an artist falls under the umbrella, the arch of universal life skills education. And I think that AI can definitely be a tool for developing universal life skills. These are the skills that every human being on the planet is learning in one measure or another. It's not about whether we're learning it or not. It's how well are we learning it and from whom. The people that are, teaching us these life skills, that's communication skills, emotional literacy, environmental literacy, technological literacy, all these things, they're not equipped to teach proficiency in these things, right? In fact, it's very limited. And where do we find those skills? Young people are finding them on TikTok and YouTube, right? They're looking at the corruption in the governments in every country. They're looking at the societal problems that are dividing. How are they learning to adapt, to develop their own life skills, proficiencies? And I believe the theater is an answer. And I do believe that AI can supplement as a tool, not as the answer, but as the tool, because you can't take the humans out of the equation, right? In fact, AI taps into human ingenuity for everything that it develops. It's inspired by humanity, not the other way around.
Mm. Thank you. And there is a lot to say. For instance, I'm not going to be the rabbit hole, but I was hearing recently that the one of the minister of France suggested that we should implement or career orientation as a baby. When you are 3, 4, 5 years old, in a world that we don't know if in 5, 10 years the work we are doing will still exist. So there's so much to say about that, but it's like it comes back to the movie Dead Poet Society, or
Yeah.
a youngster is torn apart his passion about theater because it's really his spark, and also the intention of the society and family and parents that would like to see their children lawyer, advocate, doctor, whatever. And
Yeah.
it's really sad because nowadays I've seen what happened right now with teens and adolescents nowadays. It's what I was living 20, 30, 40 years ago. Like what I'm going to do, I'm going to follow things and not like it, but it's necessary, quote unquote, to the society, or am I going to follow my passion? And I think I've lost 20 years in my life about that. But for me, it's about doing the best that I can while I'm breathing and following the next generation, because we are all old and our lives is going to end soon. Hopefully, multiple years and decades, but we never know, because I have a friend that passed away last year at 61. But
Yes, I know.
it's like
Yeah.
each day is a gift, but it's also guiding the teens and the adolescents to build the world for more humanity while there is technology going on and on and on. So, it's really the question that I'm asking myself: what are their place in this world if AI
Yeah.
is replacing everything? Hopefully, that is not replacing guidance, not replacing presence. We need more
Well,
presence.
yeah,
and
you're right.
um,
You're
and
right.
yeah, and also to see robots replacing teachers in China like it makes me scary because where is the human touch in that? The children need human touch. So aside that, we are running out of time, but I'm giving all the links so that people can join you, can support you.
Thank you.
Is there any question that you would like me to ask you, by the way?
Gosh, you've covered a lot of territory, my friend.
Oh
And
yeah,
again, if we had another hour, we could, we'll have to come back for a part two sometime.
of course, of
Um,
course.
but I want to thank you, Oli. I'll take my time to thank you for showing up. Is important, and you, as you are a member of our folk heart, which is the core of our theater company, the core and the core, right? The heart of the company, where we can have these conversations in this atmosphere, um, talking about the future. Um, I started a program recently because I think there's a great lack of mentorship. You're right. Human connection, human touch is vitally important in the development of every one of us, starting in the foundation, right? And I think if more of us who are creative in spirit show young people, show the next generation how to navigate, how to adapt. I just started a program, actually a mentorship program called LEAP, LEAP, and it stands for Life Evolving Adaptive Potential.
Mm.
And I work with kids from Abu Dhabi to London to the US, internationally, mentoring kids one-on-one to find ways to adapt to this world. And I think that all committed to, whether it's one-on-one individually mentoring young people, or through our art, or through our language studies, or through our work, if we kept that in mind, we're not, it's like that old adage of the old man planting a fig tree. And someone says, why are you planting that fig tree? It takes a long time for the fruit to develop. You won't be alive to enjoy it. He said, yes, but my grandchildren will.
Mm-hmm.
I will never sit under the shade of this tree or eat its fruit, but future generations will. And I think that if we come back to that simple act of thinking about the future generations, working for future generations, yes, we have a lot of challenges in our time. That's not to be discounted. There's a lot of suffering. There's a lot of division. But, my son, and let's end on Cameron's note, because this is a celebration of him and his life. He lived to be 13 years old, and I'm grateful for every day of it. But he used to say to me, Papa, nobody has an expiration date stamped to the bottom of their foot. Nobody knows the day or the way. It's how you live your life now that matters. He was 12 years old when he said that to me. And he had cancer. He had brain cancer, right? So out of the mouths of babes, let that be our button on this wonderful conversation, that it's how you live your life now that matters, and think for the next generations. In fact, if we all thought 7 generations ahead and acted for those 7 generations beyond, I think we'd have a much better world.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you. And by the way, you answered my question that I am asking all the guests, by the way, so I don't even have to ask you, but I will tell what are your final words if you are departing tomorrow. But these could be your final message to plan
Yeah,
for the next generations. And also, I would like also to say to let them engage, let them know that they are important, because in a world where everything is replaceable, what are their
yeah,
goals? So it's important for them to know that they are loved, they are essential in humanity, and they can
yeah,
take their part. That was my challenge when I was a youngster, to have my voice, to express my voice, to find my place in this world. Like there is a song, "My place in this world, my place in this world."
yeah.
Yeah, so see you very soon for a part two, because there is always the blessings to discuss with you. And
Thank
I share the link. Feel free to explore folklore.love and to explore Harmony Creations, because it's not only about theater, but through Go Brunch. Go Brunch is quite amazing, and you have been really inspiring me about things. And as many people, many brunchers says, you never know where you are going to land when you are in Hermes space, because you have such a nugget. I am curious. I click and poops, I'm teleported anywhere. So that's it. And thank you so much, Henry, for accepting my invitation. Last final words. Oops, did we lost Henry? I don't hear you anymore. Well, my friends, if Henry Cameron is not anymore audible, then I'm going to end this session. It was amazing. It was 20, normally used for 25 minutes, and you are 51 minutes. So it was a treat. So I'm going to end the session right now, and keep shining, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Even on the replay team, you are welcome also to ask any question in the comments. And thank you,